How you doing today, folks? So this is going to be a video talking about the relevancy of the Sebenza in 2020. There is another video talking about the case against the Sebenza for relevancy in 2020. But there is no perfect knife, and there are always two sides to every coin. So this is going to talk about the positives. This isn't going to be as long of a video. It's not that there's not significant positives to it. It's that this is basically going to be the case to why this is still a great knife, why it should definitely still be used, loved, and appreciated. That's kind of about it. So first off, the Sebenza smoothness, the kind of hydraulicness that arguably nobody else can compare to. My other video, I compared it with a whole bunch of stuff that's better than, but this isn't really that. This is still a very smooth opening mechanism. Another big piece of the Sebenza is the warranty. My God, their warranty is absolutely fantastic. I have, not this one to be clear, this one I've barely even used, but I've had a number of Sebenzas over the years. I have destroyed a few of them, and they have replaced whole blades for very minimal charge. I've actually popped the inlay off of a knife once. I don't know how I did that. This stuff's really in there. And they asked me how I did it. I told them the story. They're like, so you didn't pry it out or anything? I was like, no, sir. And then they went ahead and put another inlay back in for another bit of a fee. I hate sharpening knives. I know how to do it. I got a freaking $800 system for sharpening knives, but I just don't really like sharpening for whatever reason. So I've sent this knife back, well, not this knife to be clear, but Sebenza's back to the factory multiple times to be sharpened. I request a absolute razor mirror's edge, and they provide that, again, for a nominal fee. They'll sharpen it for you for free. If you want a razor mirror edge, that's, I think it was like $25, plus the shipping there, and they cover the shipping back. So fantastic warranty. I've put these knives through hell. Again, not this one. This one's pretty much new. And they've held up wonderfully. The Sebenza means worker, and it's very much an absolute workhorse of a knife. The micarta version, or just the inlays in general, add a little bit of extra oomph to it. Fits your hand just a little bit better. I have 2XL hands, so the lanyard that comes with the Sebenza, I don't really like the way this looks, but I kind of have to have it because almost 2 fingers stick out, and those 2 fingers just grip this lanyard, and then there's no issues. But that's not really going to be an issue for most people. But it comes with a lanyard. It has different attachment points. You can take this whole pin off, and it gives you a completely clean show side as well as locking side. There's a magnificent attention to detail that other knives have, to be sure, but Chris Reeve is a pioneer, and he invented that attention to detail. Now, my primary case for relevancy for this knife is that it is an antique. And I say that because this knife helped define the knife industry today. There are some other makers out there very notable I'm not going to talk about, but to be clear, I'm not saying Chris Reeve invented the knife. He did not. He did not pioneer the tactical folding knife. He did not pioneer the work knife. He did not pioneer pretty much anything, but he made something that's so well made that it gave other makers inspiration. And just, man, the world we have of knives today is in no small part thanks to Chris Reeve. It's one of the reasons why I will always own a Sebenza. Even if I sell this one, I'll buy another one. Like, I always want to have one in my collection. And this is one of the few knives that I buy direct from the maker. I get some of these on the secondary market, which I will flip, normally for a loss, actually, but that's a whole different conversation. But I buy them from the maker because, it's worth it. He is a fantastic human being. I've talked to him a few times. His son tends to run things now, and I've talked to him quite a bit as well. Fantastic company, good people. This really is a great knife. It definitely does have its problems, and the more issue is that some of the stuff that it pioneered back in the day, it doesn't quite do so anymore. There's so many others that are like it. Some do it better, some do it just equal. But you definitely cannot ever deny that the Sebenza is a fantastic knife, that Chris Reeve pioneered something incredible, and that this knife is honestly once was a masterpiece and is still an absolutely fantastic piece. And I genuinely believe that every true cutler of high-end, excuse me, I truly believe that every collector of high-end cutlery should own a Sebenza. They're fantastic knives. He likes to heat treat the S35VN kind of soft, so it doesn't hold an edge very well. It's not bad, but it's not ideal. But that does make it to where you can sharpen it very, very easily. One of my favorite blade steel is 154 CM because you're able to sharpen it so easily. This does not sharpen as easily 154 CM, but it sharpens pretty damn close. So it's another thing that if you want a work knife, you don't want it to chip, you want it to roll, and you want to be able to resharpen it yourself. And it's another thing that Chris Reeve thought about that most other makers just don't, that just also just make the Sebenza just work. This is one of those knives that you can have complaints about it, but you can never deny the relevancy and how well it is at doing what it does. What it does is a pretty small market. That being said, everybody and nobody can ever deny that this is a fantastic knife. I will never say it's not. So that's going to be about it. I also want to make mention that this is a Reeve integral lock. Chris Reeves invented the fucking frame lock. The frame lock is pretty much everywhere nowadays. How many frame lock flippers have you seen just this year alone? I'm sure thousands. He invented this. That alone, again, pioneer. I'm actually not a huge fan of the frame lock. Fun fact, I prefer like liner locks because I like to have a different uniformity in my knives. So I would want these inlays to be on here completely, which would only be achieved with a frame lock, or excuse me, a liner lock. But that's more my opinion. Still, it's a fantastic locking mechanism. Opens just fine, disengages very easily. This cutout, it's very generous. Everything fits very well. Even with my larger hands, I can actuate it. He put enough thought into us bigger folks that he literally added a lanyard to it so I can just hold it and be comfortable, and it's just smart. There are so many things this knife does fantastically well, and the attention to detail and the tolerances are at sometimes mind-boggling. So that is the case for the relevancy of the Sebenza in 2020. Again, there are better knives. There's also a whole lot worse, but none quite pioneered and symbolized the absolute icon and almost epitome of modern cutlery today as the Sebenza does. Is it as relevant as it used to be? My opinion, no. Is it still an absolutely fantastic piece? It is. I don't think anybody can deny that it is. Maybe it's not for you, maybe it is, but even if it's not for you, I guarantee you're going to have something nice to say about the Sebenza. It's one of those knives that you can't truly knock, because if you have a problem with one thing, I guarantee there's something else that nothing else quite compares to it. It's a weird knife, it's a polarizing knife, but again, it's history. And that should always be recognized, always be loved, and always appreciated. So, thank you, Chris Reeves, from the bottom of my heart. I am a tiny little jackass on YouTube with an under 300 subscriber channel. And not that you're ever going to watch this video, but if you ever do, you're an icon, you're a pioneer, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Because all of the amazing things I have today, all the amazing knives, all the fun fact I've had from all this, this is a small piece of my collection. All this is because of you, sir. You are to be commended. I thank you very much. And again, I will always own one of these because I will always respect the history and what you created. Now, thank you for your time, folks. As always, I love you all very, very much. I appreciate you all very, very much. Now, just do me just as one personal favor. And please, 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 do the best you can to be a better person tomorrow than you are today. And I do promise you'll find your center in life. There's too much negativity in the world, too much drama. Let's just find a way to pass it all and love one another. That's all for today. Take care, everybody.